Welcome back to the channel. This is my Lexus IS250 that I picked up in the last episode and did a few minor things to it. I'm going to start off this episode with that same theme. I've got a little thing that's been annoying me ever since I bought the car that I want to get ticked off straight away. I was waiting on the parts and I wanted to get the last episode out. So we're going to do it in this episode before we do a few more things. So, battling, you are over there, quite far away, and you're going to stay over there with the lens zoomed in because you're under my sort of lean-to thing over the door. I won't really call it a porch, but you're in the dry, I'm in the great British northern weather, so it's raining on and off. Let me show you what we're going to do first and then I'll place you back over there. And if we look at the rear of this lovely IS250, what are we met with? Oof, can't have that. So there isn't actually any damage around this, I don't think, so I don't really know what's gone on here, or maybe, I mean, I think this sensor looks like it's been painted over, or one of them does. Yeah, I think there's been some paint jobs all over this car. The bodywork is not the greatest, but from 10 feet away you don't notice it, but what you do notice is this is cracked, and this one, the edge is missing because that's also cracked. And it really just lets down the appearance of the whole car. So with the power of eBay and about £18, we have some new ones, so I'm going to get those installed. So I'm going to take off the front bumper because there is a screw that goes into the back of these, which is really annoying. It doesn't just clip in, but it don't look that hard. So with help from my assistant over here, we're going to get that sorted. So you stay over here, I'll just do a time lapse or something while you're in the dry and I'm in the rain. Okay, well that actually came off pretty easy. Because I've got sensors, I really can't be bothered to unplug all the sensor things. I would have assumed, this would have unplugged somewhere, but without going diving, I'll just leave it like this and I can work on it fine for what I need. I am kicking my bumper everywhere. It's a good job it's not immaculate. Yeah, I can work on it, but I'm just going to show you what we're doing. Unfortunately, that's a Phillips, so I'm just going to have to, rather than a socket, I'm just going to have to make sure I dig that out really well and put some pressure into it. But basically undo that, and then that side sort of lifts out and you can pull that side away. Pretty self-explanatory, and then I can just put the new ones in. This bumper has actually come off really easy. This is a lot easier than some of the German stuff I've worked on. So yeah, the Jap stuff took an L in the last one in terms of jacking the car up and like actually getting it safely up. That took more time than it did actually draining and filling the diff. But now we've got a win back under our belt, so you know we're on level footing. I'm still impressed with the rest of the car. So anyway, let's crack on with this, see if we can get an angle where I can show you what I'm doing. Okay, I've just cleaned behind these as well while they're off, and this is moving now, so I can just, you have to kind of cut your own thread into this plastic, which I found weird, but seems to work, so here we go. Okay, do that on the other side and see how she's looking. And there we go, sorted, much better now. Alright, first job ticked off. What we're going to do next, I don't know at this point. I'm going to see what arrives in the mail and then I'll surprise both myself and you guys. Alright, cut to that. It's raining, but you, my friends, are under an umbrella that I've attached to my camera tripod. Let me show you now. Amazing. the modern world. And I'm just itching to do some bits, so that's what we're doing. Starting off with just changing the light in the boot because it's very dim, so really quick one. There's a really dim halogen bulb in there. Little halogen bulb with a million LEDs. I'm hoping it'll fit. Okay, it's a bit annoying. I don't think I'll be able to switch it on and off, but I don't think I'd ever switch the boot light off because the switch just basically relies on switching the whole bulb across. Yeah, weird little mechanism, and with this bulb in there, it's a bit of a tight fit. But I don't think I'll ever turn it off. So yeah. And actually, it's probably hard to see at the minute because we're in the daylight, but it does actually provide a good bit more illumination in the boot area. So yeah, that's good. So I'm going to change these indicators now. Now this could be considered a bit of a chav mod because I've got some like dark ones with LEDs in, but I kind of think this just breaks up the side of the car because it's quite flat. I mean, that paint's very flat, but the side of the car is quite flat, and this stands out like a sore thumb. And I think just the darker ones. I did it on my E90, and I think it just kind of works, but. But these are pretty flush with the surface, and they don't have. I took one out yesterday to have a look. They don't have any foam behind them. They just sit on the surface, but it's very solid. And the ones I've got, because they are from China, I assume, do not sit very flush with the surface. You can move this around like backwards and forwards. So I got some foam, and I tried to cut it, but it's really thin on the sides. I tried to make like I'd need a laser cutter, I think, to get a real thin strip here. Bit fatter here and here, and then thin strip on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a strip out for there, a bit there and a bit there, and hopefully, that'll give it enough padding to be tight in the surface against the surface of the indicator. I'm not worried about it being weatherproof because one, these aren't, and two, it'll just fall into my wing and inside. I mean, I assume that's not an issue anyway, because these don't have any weatherproofing on them. They just sit tight against the surface, so surely they're not waterproof. But anyway, so I need to go to Hobbycraft and get some glue for the foam. I'll stick to it, and then yeah, I'll show you what we've done. Okay, and they're in. It's probably going to be a bit difficult to see on the side of the car because of the reflections and whatnot, but and the sun. But they're in, so I think they look a lot better. And if I do that, they're actually really bright. It's a full like LED strip all the way along. Again, it's probably a bit Marmite, a bit chav spec maybe, but I just think from the side profile of the car now, it just looks a lot flatter. You see how it kind of blends in there rather than stands out like a sore thumb. Obviously you want some accents, like the chrome around the windows and the silver wheels and whatnot, but I just think this looks a lot better. So, yeah, pretty happy with that. I ended up ditching the tape. What it was, let me show you. They're really loose, and basically the way these fit in is that one's broken. You kind of put that in, and that sits in the wing, inside the wing, and then you go like that, and that side obviously gets squeezed in, and then it presses it all together, it presses it all tight, and that was, I don't know, it must have just not been the correct distance away. This wasn't pressing enough out against that side of the wing, so I ended up heating up the other ones, on the aftermarket ones with a heat gun, gently, just until it came a little bit pliable, and then just moved it out very slightly, and now the solid are rocking there. So yeah, got rid of the tape, and yeah, that's working. So next thing I want to do is a free mod. I'll put up a picture on the IS250 F Sport. They give you a bit more induction noise by having a hole basically in the airbox. Like all the people with courses used to do years ago, where they drill holes in the airbox. And I would basically want to replicate that, so I can see where it is on the airbox. So I want to take mine off, cut a hole in it. Obviously it's not going to be as neat as that, and the inside is still going to have those ridges. It's not going to be smoothed out, but I don't think it's going to be detrimental. And even if I lose 2-3 horsepower, but it sounds way better induction noise, then that's a win in my mind. I don't want a big aftermarket intake kit on this. I don't think it's worth it on a naturally aspirated car like this, and you probably lose the horsepower because it'd be a hot air intake if you had a cold air intake. So maybe I'll couple this with a K&N panel filter in future, but within the standard housing. But yeah, I'll take it for a rip in a minute. I'm just burning the barbecue out because it's actually a nice day for once. So I'm just burning the barbecue out, getting it ready for barbecue season in a couple of weeks. After that's done, I'll take you for a rip. I'll show you the standard intake noise, and then we'll show you through the process of modifying this, and then we'll see if it's made an improvement. Hopefully you can hear it with this big mic I've got on top of the camera. But yeah, you should probably be able to get a general sense at least, and I'll give you my thoughts as well. Alright, let's go. Now, the previous owner removed all the clips from the engine covers, which does make it easy when I come to do this, but I should probably really get some of them. I think eBay, just panel clips will do. Okay, it looks like I'm going to take this Jubilee clip off, take the top of the airbox off. I feel it looks somewhat clean, not terrible. Okay, let's figure out how to get this off. Oh, interesting. There's some engine bay clips down here, I think. Right, well, I've cut a very, very neat hole with my grinder, because that's what you should use to cut a hole in an airbox. I couldn't find my Dremel cutting bits, and they usually just explode anyway. So I've got a sanding attachment on there. I'm going to try and smooth out as many of these internal fins as I can, or can be asked to do. But at least obviously I'm going to smooth all this up anyway, and some round the immediate area where the air comes in, and then I'll rinse all this out, and then we'll see how it sounds. So, I'm not going to bore you with that. Let me show you what the finished result is. And here we are. It's not the smoothest job in the world, and I might lose some performance, but I'm not really that bothered. I really just want a bit of sound. The car is pretty slow anyway, and regardless, it's going to be probably slightly better than factory. I mean, there's more air getting in, whether the flow of it's any good. You know, even if it just gives it a tiny little bump. But yeah, should sound good. So I'm going to reinstall this, and then we'll go out and we'll get some sound clips, see if it has actually made a tangible difference. Oh yeah, that'll do, mate. Alright, so it's another day, sun is out, it is lovely. So as you can see, the Lexus is behind me over there, and we have got it up in the air. I didn't film that because, well, it's boring. But yeah, I've got it up, got it secured on jack stands, and we are now going to do the top mounts. So I'll show you those in a sec. But yeah, I can't really see much actual like rubber bushing or isolation in there, but I'm hoping this is going to fix the banging. I've kind of, like I said, I've had a look at the suspension components, I'll show you guys that as well. But none of them look particularly worn. The boots, I mean, I know it is possible as well, but rather than firing the part cannon at suspension arms and then needing a whole alignment and whatnot and rebuilding the entire front end, I thought I'd try the top mounts because they were 40 quid each, or 45. And they're pretty straightforward to do on this, so I'll show you the top mounts. Okay, on the council workbench we have the top mounts. I think there's some sort of like isolation in there or something, or anyway, whatever. It doesn't really look like there's much going on with these, to be honest, but we'll change them. Never been done, I don't think. And the shocks have been done recently without these being changed, I believe, looking at the invoices. So yeah, we'll get these changed. If not, then I'll try the drop links because they look a bit crusty and they can be banging, and again, they're cheap. If not, then I know it's something suspension arm related, and then we'll really have to like diagnose it and dive into it. But let me show you guys what we're going to do. Okay, so we've got the wheel off and we have got to take the shock out. So on these, it's pretty straightforward. You basically just, from what I've seen, undo this for this like knuckle and where the top arm connects to that, There's a bolt at the bottom of the shock, obviously, and then obviously the bolts holding the top mount up into place. There's 3 of them, and then this should come off. So what's this? It's an arm for headlight leveling. Oh, okay, yeah, headlight leveling adjustment arm, that's good. Anyway, yeah, so it looks pretty straightforward, so let me set you guys up and I'll crack on with this. Right, well that was the easiest shock I've ever taken out. Yeah, that took a grand total of 2 minutes. So I'm just going to get the big heavy duty spring compressors on, compress this, change the top mounts over. As you can see from this top mount, it is pretty grim compared to the new ones. I'll just give you a side by side there. That's yeah, pretty nasty. Yeah, so we'll see if this makes a difference. It was mainly banging on the other side, but I just changed this one for ease first, I guess, and access, showing you what I was doing. Let's get this changed over. Okay, big boy spring compressors are out. Oh God, these are actually like really heavy. Oh. Okay, I had to use the other style spring compressors, and yeah, the big ones wouldn't get in. So we're going to send this and see what happens. Okay, easy. It took enough of the, it's not fully off, but it took enough of the tension out of the spring for me to just crack that top nut off. That's good. So there's a huge like rubber dust boot and I don't know, kind of rubbery assembly, and then the bump stop in there as well. So we're going to transfer them over to the new top mount. Okay. I mean, if I really wanted to solve the problem, I'd change all these as well, but we're going to get coilovers on this at some point, so there's no point wasting money essentially. So let's get these swapped over. Okay, so I've swapped over the rubber, well, what's left of the dust boot onto there, and yeah, we can get this reinstalled now. Try and line up this hole. Okay, there we go. I've managed to, with a bit of faffing, make sure the spring's seated both top and bottom. I'll double check that in a sec. Let me just put this back on for a little bit. Okay, just before I tighten that down, I'm just going to double check the spring seated. Yep, so it's on the spring perch, top and bottom, so I'll just give this a few ugga-duggers. Okay, and good. So I'll just loosen the spring compressors and then we are good to get the shocker installed, and then I will just do the same on the other side. So I'll put this back in. I didn't really see any point in getting in my own way trying to film it going back in, but I've tightened this, tightened the top mount bolts as well, put the little sensor thing back on for the ABS sensor. You have to release that when you're doing this because otherwise it hangs by it, so I just cable tied this like with like a couple of, like a daisy chain of cable ties, and then the bolt at the bottom. Yeah, I've also just tightened that back up with the ugga-dugga, so yep, all buttoned back up. So I'm going to do the other side and then I'm going to go for a drive and see if this has fixed the knocking. Well, a bit of a nightmare with the other side. As you can see in that last clip, the threads on the like shaft, the top, well, all the way down, absolutely mud. I just pulled them off. I literally did the same I did on this side, started winding it off, and I was like, oh, this is a bit rough. And yeah, that was the result, and it got worse at the bottom. Like the shaft was visibly thinner at the bottom, so whoever put that on last has cross-threaded it. So yeah, thank you very much. So now I've just taken absolutely ages with spring compressors, trying to get it in with the spring compressors, because obviously once it's in situ and in there, the weight of the car is like keeping it in, so it's not holding anything as such. It's just like the tension and the weight of the car. It'd be fine if I took that bolt off. It's sitting on it, it'd clang around. So I think maybe that's what the knocking was. My parents are visiting and my mum actually said maybe that's what the knocking was. And yeah, she actually might be right there, because if that's just going up and down because it isn't tensioned down, obviously there's no danger of it going through, but it's just going to clang around. So yeah, I'm going to drive it in a sec, see how it goes, and see if it's fixed the issue. If not, then well, I'll just have to accelerate the coilovers, won't I? Because I'm not spending. I'd have to do both side shocks. It's not really good practice to just do one. And if I'm doing that, then I might as well just get the shocks I wanted, some Tyne, you know, Street Advances Z's or whatever they're called, with dampening adjustment and stuff. Everyone gives them pretty good reviews. I ain't got the money for BCs at 900 quid, even though they'd be the best. But yeah, I might have to accelerate the timeline of getting some Tynes. So we'll see. Let's see. I'm just packing away now. I'm defeated. That has taken me forever to do. Let's see if it has made a difference. Absolute freeloader. There's been no help during this whatsoever. Alright, well, I'm a little bit deflated after that yesterday, spending all that time getting nowhere really in the end because it's still knocking. Confirmed it with a test drive, but yeah, that thread being messed up must be why it's knocking. So at least we know what it is. So I guess I'll just have to pull the trigger on some coilovers sooner rather than later, like I say. At least I know that the shocks come out very, very easily. Yeah, bolt at the bottom, bolt on the upper arm and the top mounts, 3 bolts, and you're good to go. So yeah, pretty easy when the time does come. I'm going to do a job that, in theory, touch wood, shouldn't have anything that's able to go wrong with it. So just a little thing that I've been wanting to tick off since I last took the bumper off to do the reflectors. And that is the vents in the boot. Now these are like, you get them on most cars and they basically just let moisture out of the boot. And yeah, these, the ones that are on the car, have filled like seal on them, I'll show you. But the amps in this car for this premium sound system that comes with the Mark Levinson sound system, which everyone raves about, is down in one of the boot pockets, and if that gets wet it shorts out, and they're expensive, even second hand to get, so I don't really want to risk it. So while it's dry, while it's warm, you know, while it's not getting any worse, I figure I'll whip the back bumper off. It takes 2 minutes, we'll get those vents in. So let me whip the bumper off and I'll show you what we're doing.
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain.
Okay, so these are the ones in the car, and there's meant to be like a flap over these, and last time when I saw them I was like, oh, they look pretty crumbly. And yeah, they were crumbly. Just touched them and they turned into dust, like soundproofing on the engine base. So yeah, not ideal. So I bought some of China's finest, and to be honest, the material, I was like, it doesn't really matter what material it's made out of, it's just a vent stop water like directly getting in, like actual splashes of water. But that's pretty bad. It's like a really bad PVC dress or outfit or something, but whatever. It's probably better than just having a gaping hole here and letting letting all moisture in. So I need to figure out how to get these out. I think they'll just pull out looking at the clips on the back, but I might have to reach in the boot pocket and press them. But to be honest, seeing as these are old, I can probably just destroy them and pull them out with like some trim remover tools. But we'll have a play around and see what's going on. Okay, so I cleaned up the area around where they're going to sit, put some silicone on, some window sealant or something, pressed it all in, and yeah, we're good to go. So that is a lot better than it was. Again, even if not perfect. But yeah, there wasn't a gasket on these ones, so I thought best to just put some sealant on them. The apprentice is coming. Not really doing much as per. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to shove the back bumper on and then we're going to give this a wash later. I don't think I'll film that, but it is grafted at the minute. We've got bugs galore. We've got dust. Yeah, we've got cat paw prints and dust everywhere. So yeah, needs doing. So hopefully when the sun goes down it'll be cool enough to do that. So. Okay, and with all that being said and done, we are going to end the video here. So a bit deflating to end on with what happened with the shocks and the top mounts, but it is what it is. That's the reality of working on cars, isn't it? You know, things don't always go right, especially when I'm involved. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe, please hit like, all that YouTube goodness. Leave a comment down below what you want to see me do to it next. Do you think I should pull the plug on coilovers, or do you think I should spend the 100 quid on a strut? Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.